We are now going to switch to Spanish, so for those who don't speak Spanish, please take your earphone. Y vamos del Corea del Sur.
And we're now traveling from South Korea all the way to Colombia. We'll now hear from Mr. Alvaro Pico Malaver. He is a brigadier general in the National Police in Colombia, and he heads the Peacebuilding Unit. Welcome, General. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a true pleasure for me to find myself here before you today. I am the Brigadier General of the Colombian National Police. My name is Alvaro Pico Malaver. I have been wearing this uniform for 33 years now. And before I was born, in my country, we had one of the longest-lived guerrillas in the world, the FARC. And over the 3 decades that my professional career has spanned, I devote my efforts to looking for them, persecuting them, because it was my constitutional mandate. And I have lived in my own flesh the pain caused by this fratricidal war. And according to official figures, over 8,300,000 victims of armed conflict in my country, 45,000 of which are police officers. I have seen the suffering of these patriotic heroes. Some have lost their lives, others victims of kidnapping. Many have ended up wounded, mutilated due to conflict. I have seen how their families suffered, weeping mothers, wives, who have experienced the horrors of a fratricidal war. And yet, in my work and in my professional life, in 2015, I was appointed to be a member of a technical committee, which was to meet in Habana, Cuba. And for over 2 years, they discussed with FARC members an end to the conflicts. We sat with these people, we talked to them, and I must confess, it did not come naturally to me to sit next to them. It was not easy to sit across from somebody else who had caused pain, who until that moment was my enemy. And yet, in spite of differences that still exist due to the type of model that they have for a country, and in spite of these walls dividing us, this lack of bridges, to use the term of today, in spite of all this, across the table, I saw human beings, people who spoke my language, people who chanted the same hymn, people who shared a culture. The only difference was the way we thought. And so, with them, over these 2 years, we managed to negotiate an end to the conflict, a ceasefire, which put an end to that organization after 53 years of armed conflict among brothers. And now I come to you to bear witness of the benefits of peace. I have seen on the land what it takes to live in peace. I have seen what it has meant to end that conflict with that organization. The figures speak for themselves. There's a great reduction in the number of victims. But additionally, I visited hospitals, military hospitals and police hospitals. Every cot packed with a police officer. And now to go to the same hospitals and see them nearly empty fills me with hope and with enthusiasm to build the peace we all long for. Currently, I head the National Police Unit for Peacebuilding, known as UNIPEP. This unit was the product of our shared experience. And it was the unit in charge of the implementation of the agreements. And though it might seem paradoxical, one of the missions of my unit is to protect the leaders of the FARC. It is us who today protect those who we were looking for before. We protect those who were once our enemy. And I can tell you that it is possible. Reconciliation is possible. Presently, I am also a member of a committee in Quito, Ecuador, negotiating with the ELN, another insurgent group. We're negotiating a peace agreement as well, and recently we managed to strike the first agreement, a temporary ceasefire. One which is to begin next week and will conclude on January 12th. It is our hope that we can extend this ceasefire so as to reach long-lasting, stable peace. We must express our recognition and gratitude to the entire world, to the United Nations, to organizations such as Interpeace, who have provided us support throughout this process. We realize that we are not alone in isolation. We have company. Recently, Colombian President Juan Manuel Santos was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, thanks to his efforts and his devotion to this cause, trying to secure this supreme good for all Colombians. And recently, last week, His Holiness Pope Francis paid a visit to us. He conveyed a beautiful message of hope, of fraternity, of reconciliation. But above all, it was a message of forgiveness. And since I'm talking about forgiveness, and perhaps this could serve as a concluding note, if anything has shocked me over the course of this process is how willing the direct victims of the conflict are willing to forgive. And this is something that all of us who were in Habana recognized. We saw a woman who was representing victims of conflict, a woman who had suffered the ravages of war, who had lost her loved ones. She saw the FARC there, and with tears in her eyes, she said, "I forgive you." Because she believed that no Colombian should ever endure what she had gone through. And of course, how can we help from being motivated by such a statement? Can we not be inspired by such words? And so, to honor the victims, to honor the youth and the future generations, I say that those of us who have fought in a war believe that it is worth to struggle. To my children, to my nephews, two of whom are with me here today, and for the youth of Colombia who deserve a peaceful country, we are committed to reaching a peaceful and long-lasting peace in Colombia. Thank you.